All right, looks like it's happening. Okay. All right, everybody. Woo! Welcome. It's Monday. It's Houston with a problem. We are identifying problems, perhaps solving them. I don't know. BBBYQ had itself a little pump today. Hit 36 and change. What was it? What was the peak? Let me know. BBBYQ. It got up to 36.2. So leveling out 34.15. Kind of tepid. Or trepidatious, maybe that's the term I'm looking for. Tomorrow they're supposed to file their exit strategy for leaving bankruptcy. And they requested an expedited hearing, which will be on the 24th. When is the 24th? 24th is next Monday. So next week, there'll be a hearing about how they plan to leave bankruptcy and if they can leave bankruptcy. And the judge will go yay or nay, all depending on what the creditors' objections are. But it appears the creditors are people who are trying to gobble up the company. So my guess is that the exit strategy will involve the creditors gobbling up the company, or at least part of the company. There's apparently a carve-out plan of some sort being discussed, perhaps for Baby, or its assets of Baby that are outside the IP, which are still shared ownership with Bed Bath & Beyond and whoever Dream On is. Dream On. Yeah, so we're sitting pretty on that one. Yeah. Anyway, this. Okay, so Michael T. I don't know about tomorrow for BBBYQ, but today is the day for sure. Well, today was a day. It was a day. I mean, we're up a little bit. I am waiting for the announcement they dropped the Q. Maybe if they drop the Q, that sucker will pop into the dollars. And that's what I want. And that's what the exit strategy / expedited hearing will be all about. Now, I don't think they would drop the Q until after the hearings are all done and the judge gives a stamp of approval of exiting. So we may get pops before then. I honestly don't know, depending on what the news is for how they're going to restructure. If there's a merger acquisition, a carve out, etc. So we sit and we wait. And I don't have anything left to buy any more shares with. So I'm stuck where I am right now. Dan Harris, good afternoon, Houston. Oh, sorry, Snert Alert. Oi, Houston, timeline for collapse of Tether crypto. Well, Tether already seems to be having lots of troubles on Binance right now. It depegged and went down into the 70s or 80 cents to the dollar. That to me says the troubles are brewing. If your cryptocurrency is supposed to be pegged to the dollar, is no longer pegged to a dollar, then what? If and when folks need to take money out, they may have a hard time finding that money if they can't convert their Tether into cash, because the cash doesn't exist. And you might be able to get some sweet arbitrage right now, because I don't think it's at 75 cents on all the exchanges. So you may be able to get a boatload of Tether, say on Binance for cheap, send it over to Coinbase or whatever, and exchange it for 25, 30% gains. So, look at that. That might not be so bad. Dan Harris, good afternoon, Houston. Do the NOLs, the net operating loss, tax credits on BBBY mean that this can't miss winter for BBBYQ holders? Please explain. Well, I mean, they're bankrupt, so they're going to have tax losses regardless. I think where the tax credits might come in interesting is how the creditors use them. So let's say you are a holder of owner of that debt, right? They owe you money. It's a lot. It's billion in change. And you tell them like, hey, I will write off this debt in exchange for a huge chunk of your company. Well, you get the company, you write off the debt, and that write-off of the debt becomes also a giant tax write-off for the government. So you write off $1.5 billion right there. And you may have only spent 10, 20 cents per dollar on that debt because you bought it distressed in a market where everyone's like, oh, I'm going to pay back. So you may have spent $200 million on that debt. Then you get a $1.4 billion tax write-off from a $200 million expense and a huge chunk of a company that's now free of debt and making, $5 billion a year in revenue. That would be a coup for whoever happened to have arranged for that to happen. So, I think it can be quite good for BBBYQ holders if something like that were the case. Pat Bones, Houston, how's your BlackBerry destruction endeavors? Going well. Got the new mower yesterday. Cuts that long like butter. It mowed my lawn in 55 minutes, which is only using about an eighth of a tank of fuel, whereas the old Honda cuts it in an hour and a half and uses 2.5 tanks of fuel to do it. So things are looking up for me. Did a little bit of BlackBerry destruction yesterday. I've got the side done, the front done. Now I'm working on the back, and I've got, a fifth of it destroyed. But it was like 90 degrees yesterday. It was exhausting. Only lasted a couple hours before I had to drink gallons of pink lemonade. I'll do some more tomorrow. Might be a little nice and cool tomorrow. That'd be good. I could last longer. The big one is going to be the north side of the yard yonder. That is deep. It's maybe 150, 200 feet long and goes back 50 to 75 feet of dense blackberries. I may have to rent a machine to take care of those blackberries, but I won't get to it until probably August when blackberries are blooming anyway. And so at least I'll eat all the berries I can as I destroy, and that'll be good. Monkey Butt will enjoy that. She loves blackberries. Don't you? Every year you forget that you love them, and you're like, why would I eat that? And then I shove it in your mouth, and you go, oh, they're everywhere. And then she eats them. Just daintily, just off all the bushes. Scott Lumley, Houston. I'm having a bad day. I was kayaking earlier, and it was cold, so I lit a fire on the kayak. Unfortunately, it sank. I guess you can't have your kayak and heat it too. Scott Lumley, also BBBYQ. If when they reorganize, what do you think they might spike to? Not a clue. Not a clue. I mean, there's already people calling for thousands of dollars a share. Awesome if that happens. I will gladly retire. But if it gets to dollars, I'll be stoked. Right? $5 a share. That's a good chunk of change for me. $10 a share, sweeter chunk of change, and so on. I will definitely look to see what happens, and if there's, margin calls and liquidations that happen and forced closing of positions. There are a lot more shares in existence now than there were last August when the price hit $30. There's only 90 million shares last August. Now there's 700 and something million shares. Granted, I don't think 300 million of those are in circulation. I'm pretty sure they got authorized. The company never sold them. And they may be getting used to trade those 300 million shares for the elimination of debt. That's part of the rumor mill. So that means the free float would be 400 million shares-ish, which is still, 4 or 5 times more than what it was last August. So I have no clue what that will mean in the end. It is crazy. We saw the letters come from Interactive Brokers saying, hey, you may be forced to close your short positions. There are no shares available. Keep that in mind. And we see regularly there are no shares available to lend. So if anything's being sold, it's probably being sold naked. Because I don't know anyone who is going to sell these shares at 35 cents when they know that there's potential for something bigger. There might be some day traders out there just going back and forth. Oh, it's at 30 cents. Oh, it's back down 28. Oh, it's back up to 31. And they're just playing that. I'm sure there's some guys doing that. But for most people, they're like, I got this for 24 cents. I'm going to sit on it and see if it hits dollars. I think that is what the majority of holders are waiting for. Scott Blumley, finally, every time I try to buy options at BBBYQ, my order gets rejected. And when I go over the asking price, I think we may not be the only ones that see what's coming. Yeah, brokers won't let anyone buy. I think you have to be an accredited investor, which means you have to have more than $1 million in your account, some sort of permission as either a fund or a firm or an institution to be allowed to do any purchasing of calls, which sucks. Because I'll be honest, I would rather have the money I have in shares right now actually in 3,000-4,000 calls. Because those 3,000-4,000 calls represent 300 to 400,000 shares. And if the price goes to a couple dollars, $1 million, right? I'm okay with that. I do think it's very likely the price could go to a couple dollars for sure. So I wish I had the opportunity to get calls. I'll just stuck with the shares I have and deal with that. But, call options would be fantastic. TMart 22206 BBBYQ cost to borrow up to 228% on chart exchange. Well, it's getting even higher now. You go and join one of those BBBY calls they've been doing on Twitter? Probably not. I don't enjoy space calls. Just whatever you guys discuss, give me a 2-sentence summary and point me to something to read. Carl Burns, happy birthday, Houston. Did you hear about the magic tractor went up a lane and turned into a field? Oh my God. Carl Burns, love you. Thank you. Dan Harris, anything on MMTLP from Rosa or any other lawsuits? Nothing yet. I would presume this week we'll probably get a response from FINRA. Was it 22nd was when Rosa filed? So when's the 22nd? 22nd is Saturday. So maybe Friday or Monday we should get a response from FINRA for her third amended complaint. We'll see. And then after that, it's probably another 3 months so the judge acknowledges everyone's existence. So that's all I know. I did see that there's a congressman from Arizona who sent a letter to Gary Gensler who's like, what's up? My constituents won't leave me alone. Please give me some information on this thing. So we got that happening. Robert Coolfluff. How do you say that, Robert? Robert Coolfluff. That's a lot of cool. Coolfluff. Damn, dude, that's a hard name to say. Stop jinxing things, Houston. Don't mention it. Let it be this time. Not too late, man. DeHobler, today sucked. Is that too negative? Brian Company, have you heard any news on Sears Holdings? No. I think the 27th is when they're supposed to have the next hearing. Sears bankruptcy Kroll. Anything happening with Sears? All right, General Barr. Omnibus hearing. Show all dates. There was a hearing back in May, and it was 19, 20, 23. Oh, yeah, there was a hearing back in May, and there's no other. I thought there was a hearing scheduled for July something, but it's not on the Kroll Associates calendar. Yeah, I got no news. I have no idea. None. Zero. De nada, Brian. Yes. Oh, Twitter's telling me celebrate the first super chat from Brian Company. I don't know how to celebrate. Yay! Thank you. Jason Blackwell, Houston. The next time you commit a crime, jump inside a penny. That way you'll be innocent. God damn it. Oh, you guys are just shaving years off my life in 10-second increments. Paige Sunday, happy birthday. How my parents say your name. What brokerage can I buy BBBYQ from? I buy it in Fidelity. They let me do it. I'm not sure what others, maybe. I'm sure anything that has access to OTC will probably let you do it. Julio says Kathy Woods. Yeah, so Kathy Woods has written down her investment in Twitter. So she's one of the people who are holders in private ownership of Twitter. She wrote down 47% and is looking to get more if she can. The woman is insane. Everything she touches, she's like Midas in reverse. Everything she touches just turns to shit. And somehow she still has like ample amounts of cash coming in. And this is because she specifically targets evangelicals. She goes to like churches and talks about Jesus and then gets a bunch of money out of these folks. And it is a hell of a grift. She just burns that money. Everything she touches just lights on fire and vanishes. I have never seen somebody with as bad a losing streak as Kathy Wood. It is phenomenal. Her ARC portfolio, it's like there are shades of red that haven't been invented yet to indicate the down arrows in her funds. And hey, when you have a niche, I guess you run with it, right? So good for you, Kathy Wood, and absolutely just torching the savings of every evangelical who crosses your path. Good job. Patchy Football Films, Houston. Is it time to buy puts on UPS? I'm sure you can dabble in it now. So look at the calendar. The strike, if it happens, will start on August 1st. August 1st is a Tuesday, I believe. Yes, August 1st is a Tuesday. So that means Monday the 31st, there is no strike. There's no announcement of a strike, etc. That would be the day I would buy my puts. I am buying my puts on that Monday. And I'm probably going to buy a bunch of weeklies near in the money. So like if the price is say $180 a share on that Monday, I will buy as many puts as I can at like 179, 178, somewhere in there. And then I may buy further out of the money, like $10, $20 out of the money for 2 weeks, 3 weeks after that. So it's probably split my cash between those two. That way, you know, if we get to the 8th, which is when they're going to be doing their earnings report and probably announce a stock buyback or something, I can get out with gains. I would expect the price to drop $10. You know, all the workers on strike. UPS is going to make no money. Headlines. Largest strike in U.S. history. Blah, 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 blah. I would expect the price to drop $10. That would immediately give me a 10x on all my in the money or near in the money, just out of the money calls I'd buy for that weekly right off the bat. Cool, 10x that. And then if the price drops another $10, I might be able to 20 or 30x on the stuff I buy for the 2-3 weeks out. And then I'm out. Done. And then I'll wait for word from our UPS drivers that are in the chat to see if they're going to be approving a contract. And if they give me a bunch of something, yeah, I think we're going to approve this contract, then I'm going to buy some calls and write it back up again. So that's my plan. Brandon T. Houston, I don't know for sure, but I feel Gme will get a little pop after the movie Dumb Money comes out. A whole bunch of people who decide to buy a couple shares. Maybe yes, maybe no. Lol. Yeah, any news is good news, right? Nut Muffin. Hi, Nut here. Well, Nut there. Mario Valdez, 24th is my birthday. BBBYQ MOAS for sure. Lol. As good reason as any. Pedro Carvalho, Houston. Thanks for being there for us bag holders. Anything new in the latest bag? A company that you're not allowed to talk about? All the best to you. If there is, I can't talk about it. As you pointed out. Mick Batista, who will announce the Q drop? My guess is that they'll probably release a press release saying, "Hey, we've successfully exited bankruptcy and our stock will no longer have a Q." It'll probably be on like the NASDAQ and stuff like that. That'd be my guess. So, a week, 2 weeks until they officially drop it. Scott Pollan still insists that BBBY is not going to play out the way you think. Maybe. If it does play out the way I think, then woohoo! If it doesn't, well, got my tax write-off for next year. That's the way I see it. And Scott says, take Houston's advice, only invest what you can lose because you may lose it. As is with everything you touch in the stock market. Copy and paste. William Morgan's here. Congressman Eli Crane posted a letter about MMTLP to Gensler. That's who it was. Eli Crane from Arizona. Kirk Wilson, Houston. Please explain the seasons in relation to the Earth's rotation around the sun. Why is January closest, yet it's winter? Oh boy. This has to do with tilt of the Earth. So the Earth tilts, the Earth's axis tilts at 23.5 degrees. So, what can I use as an example? I've got a baseball, but baseball doesn't have an equator on it. We'll doll up this baseball since it's been chewed on by the dog a lot. Will this pen work? It will not. So that pen is trash. Cool. Will this pen work? It will. Okay, so we're making ourselves an equator on this baseball. Okay. You guys can see the equator? There we go. All right. So the Earth is tilted at 23.5 degrees. Now, in this case, if this top side is north and this bottom side is south, and the light in the camera are the sun, right? Then this would be summertime for the southern hemisphere, wintertime for the northern hemisphere. So the southern hemisphere is getting more direct sunlight. The sun's coming straight down on the southern hemisphere, and it's at an angle for the northern hemisphere. So the light's lower, the sun's lower on the horizon, and so on. Now, the Earth rotates on this axis, right? Southern side gets a lot more exposure than everyone else. Oops, my axis is moving on my hand. So southern side keeps getting more exposure. Okay, now the Earth goes around the sun. So as it goes around the sun, it ends up further away. As it does so, it's now summertime for the northern hemisphere, wintertime for the southern hemisphere. More direct sunlight hitting the northern side. That's why. And because orbits don't make perfect circles around an object like the sun, they actually make ellipticals, which means they got two focal points. One focal point is the center of gravity, which is the sun that's going around. And one focal point is an imaginary one out here somewhere. And what happens is that the Earth is actually falling towards the sun's pulling the Earth towards the sun. So it's like, I'm falling, gets around the sun. And as it passes around the sun, it starts to coast away and it slows down. Right? And then it slows down to a point and it starts to fall back towards the sun again. And it does this thing. So it goes faster the closer it gets to the sun, slower the further away it gets. And it just so happens that the summer for the northern hemisphere is when we're far away from the sun, and the summer for the southern hemisphere is when we're closer to the sun. Sorry, tilting the ball the wrong way. And that's how it works. The difference is only a few million miles out of the 99 million miles, the average distance from the sun that we are. 93 million miles, average distance from the sun that we are. So it doesn't quite make too much of a difference. Summers in the northern hemisphere generally warm the earth more. This is because there's more land in the northern hemisphere. So there's more land to absorb sunlight and then radiate away infrared than there is in the southern hemisphere, which is dominated by oceans. And that's why. But the southern hemisphere, because the sun's closer, localized generally have hotter summers than the northern hemisphere. But just a little bit. But truly the hottest places on Earth, though, are in the northern hemisphere. Death Valley, Gobi Desert, Sahara. Those are all northern hemisphere places, and those are the hottest places on Earth. So, that help you out? That what you wanted to learn? Justin G. RFK peddling anti-Semitic tropes, not shocked. Yeah. One thing you'll notice about most conspiracy theories, maybe save little green men ones, but definitely lizard people ones, is that there's just a kernel of anti-Semitism at the center of every single one of them. And yeah, so if you guys don't know, RFK Jr., who's doing a vanity run for president, he said that COVID was designed in a lab to spare Jewish and Chinese people and to target white people. No. And then the vaccine was designed to help Chinese and Jewish people and target white people. No, that's not. First of all, China used the Sinovac vaccine, which sucked. Didn't do shit. It's a crappy designed vaccine. So that theory's out the window right there. 2, one of the hardest hit communities in America were the ultra-Orthodox communities around New York City that were anti-vaccine and just got completely ravaged. So, A, he's factually wrong. B, he's just being a racist prick. So his whole family's like, whoa, we want nothing to do with this guy. That's a bad sign. So, screw that guy. Cut paste, DM the Congressman's tweet to you. Thank you there, William. Robert, Houston. I don't mind telling you I'm worried about another U3 halt. I'm already sitting on one and don't want another. Any chance a second one hits? I referring to with BBYQ? I doubt it. I don't think so. There's not a special circumstance they can use to go, whoa, we gotta stop trading the stock, like they did with MMTLP to mask their badness. Mainly because this one's playing by the books. Company was hurting, goes into bankruptcy to restructure, comes out restructured, totally expected. It happens with companies all the time. Hertz, Vegas Sands, we talked about that in the other show. They emerged from bankruptcy and they're worth $40 billion today. So it happens. This is something that the market should be prepared for. It's just for the first time, a whole bunch of apes are now behind this one. And the buy and hold strategy should terrify the hedge funds who shorted this. Peach Sunday, only 20% chance of recession now, according to GS. We have bottomed out. We did not see it because of the inflation and Fed printing. The real value has decreased, but nominally stayed the same. What do you think? We have not even close to bottomed out yet. We never really did bottom out. Things got a little stressed, and they went, print money each time. So all we've done is inflate the bubble. We're just starting to see now the monkey. What's the term I'm looking for? The commercial mortgage-backed securities defaults in commercial mortgage-backed securities happening, and they're just starting to uptick again. And the commercial market is screwed. The housing market has stalled. So many homes are taken off the market by Airbnb folks who are now at 40-50% capacity and can't afford their mortgages. So those homes are now steadily starting to enter the market to be for sale. Loud ass truck outside. I think we're about to see, with high interest rates, a glut of homes in the market, foreclosures starting to pick up, defaults on the securities backing these mortgages. We've got deposits down at banks. We've got banks posting huge losses, and those banks are posting huge losses like Goldman Sachs and American Bank of America are all saying like a big recession is coming, stocks are going to crash, and I think they will. We can try to print our way out of this, but we're never going to defeat inflation if that's the case. So it's gonna have to go down at some point, because a 450 SPY right now doesn't make any sense. I lost my spot. Not that Steve-O. Just found out I will inherit a family trust, being the only beneficiary. Any advice or reading material so I can understand what that means? A lawyer. that is probably your first stop, is because I'm not sure what the local laws will be where you are, and what controlling that trust as a beneficiary means for you. There might be stipulations in the trust about releasing so much cash here and there, or what you're allowed to control. I would definitely look at finding a good estate lawyer and seeing what that means. You can just go in for a consultation, and then maybe want to hire them to help you. As for reading material on that, I've never specifically read into it, so I'm not quite sure what that means. Like, I have friends who are trust funders. Like, one of them, she has significant trust. It's pretty big. She's only allowed like this much every month until she turns 60. When she turns 60, like, have it all. So I think that was done in a way so that her father would be like, you have to work and figure out how to survive for yourself and not rely upon all this stuff. And when you get to retirement age, then you can enjoy it. I think that was kind of why it was done that way. Which, I'll be honest, was probably good for her. Yeah, I guess you have to look at specifically how, there's a will, if there's articles of incorporation for the trust. I would look into that. But a lawyer will definitely be able to, who specializes in these things, will definitely be able to take care of that for you, or explain it to you at least. So I would do that. Beach Sunday. Scott Pollen. Scott Pollen says, check in, Peachy. DXY crashing and in clear downtrend. There is a 100% probability of recession. I tend to agree with Scott on this one. Bat Bones, if DXY crashes hard, does that mean oil skyrockets? Scott Pollen. Oil only up if there's demand, which there is none, so no, he says. Chris Stedman, isn't RC a creditor? He is. He's also a debtor, interestingly enough. He's a creditor and a debtor. So, curious to see how that works out for RC with Bed Bath & Beyond. T-Smart 2006. I keep seeing some posts on Reddit and Twitter that RC is a guarantor, but no one will provide the evidence. Have you heard anything about this? He's listed. His name, RC Ventures, RC, are listed in the creditor space, in debtor side. So we don't know how much, but he's in there. Scott Pollen, tons of finance articles about energy trading funds that have shut down because of the expectations of China demand and then never materialize. Yet China's demands are way down. Their productivity is way down. It turns out that a lot of what China was making when COVID hit had to get made elsewhere. And the boom has not come back. Especially since real estate has gone bust, so a lot of investment capital has gone from China. It seems to me that China is in kind of a stagnant moment, trying to figure out what to do next. And, you know, when things get stagnant, you want to blame others, and you might invade things like Taiwan if that's the case. Pat Bones, Houston. What do you call a dog with no legs? Doesn't matter. It won't come anyway. God damn it. Ah, monkey butt. I can call you. You've got legs. You're laying on the floor. You're going to come. Are you going to come if I call you? Are you going to come if I call you? Are you going to come? Oh, begrudgingly. Oh, she's going to get up so slowly. And she's going to come. Oh, stretch it out. Stretch it out and come up here. Come on. Come on. There we go. Oh, stretch it out. Little happy dog. Yes. You're such a good dog. Yes, you are. But you know what? It's not your moment. Not for TREATs yet. We'll wait a little bit. We'll give them the neck scratch for a little while longer because it just feels so good, doesn't it? It feels good on my fingers. It feels good on her neck. Oh, yeah, what a good dog. What a champion. Right? There you go. Okay. Why Tyler? Houston, big fan repping from Portland, Oregon, currently holding 20,000 shares of BBBYQ. Do you think shares will be converted into a new ticker, such as Teddy? Tomorrow shall be interesting. I don't know what to think, because, I mean, my initial idea of how bankruptcy would work out completely thrown out the window for something completely different. I originally thought that someone would go in, buy up either Bye Bye Baby or Bed Bath & Beyond outright. Just purchase outright and end up being a share windfall or a cash windfall for shareholders. That's what happened. They sold off the IP, but they only sold off a share of the IP. Meaning, Overstock spent $20-something million to get 50% stake in the Bed Bath IP. And Dream On, whoever that is, spent, I don't know, however many millions to get a 50% share in the Bye Bye Baby IP. So, no entity owns 100% of the IP. Did not see that coming. So now we're looking at what is the reorganization going to how it's going to take place. And they still have $1.4 billion in debt. They've basically taken care of all the leases and stuff. That's all. Who gives a shit about that? You know, Burlington Coat Factory is buying up the leases. Who cares? So that's off their books. It's the $1.4 billion in collateralized debt is the thing that would loom over them. And it appears 6th Street controls most of that. And 6th Street has done DIP facilities for Carl Icahn in the past. And it seems to be using the exact same law firm. So it's got Carl Icahn's little fingerprints all over it. Now, Carl Icahn loves to do acquisitions. He does vulture capital acquisitions where he gobbles things up and just sells them off piecemeal, makes a profit off of it. But he also turns companies around. And in this case, I think this is a turnaround moment because Icahn or 6th Street or whoever bought this debt for pennies on the dollar, right? They bought it for 10, 20 cents on the dollar. And they have the opportunity to take a very large ownership of Bed Bath & Beyond for the cost of wiping out that debt. So why wouldn't you do that? You can get a company that does $5 billion a year in sales basically for the price of a couple $100 million. Sounds like a plan. And you can leave that company with no debt so the stock price goes through the roof. And you can collateralize them by even doing a cash offer. Like, oh, we'll wipe out your debt and give you cash. And then boom, all of a sudden the company's sitting pretty. And that's where I think it's going. Now, will they adopt a new name and ticker? Very possibly. Especially since Overstock is rebranding their website to Bed Bath & Beyond now. So Overstock will become Bed Bath & Beyond Online. So you may want to differentiate your name from the online presence that Overstock now has on that. So, you know, maybe, and this is total speculation on my point, if you are going to create a mother company called Gmerica, right, that owns GameStop and other entities, then perhaps you acquire the company, merge the shares of both into GME as Gmerica, that now own these two entities, and you start to become a conglomerate in the retail space. Again, total speculation. I have no idea what they're going to do, but that would be a great way to suddenly get a $20 or more value out of every single solitary one of those 30-cent shares. Worth a shot. Leroy Sock-Vibol. What is our government? Why is the government so weak? I doubt Kaya Malaj and the PP Show Pumper ever go to jail. I don't know enough about any of that. I'm sorry, Leroy. I don't know anything to. I don't know who that is. Christopher Bursow, did you watch Sound of Freedom? I have zero interest in watching Sound of Freedom. I'm not a QAnon person. I've read the story about the guy the movie's based on, and the dude's a total bullshit artist who claimed to like go around the world stopping child trafficking and never did shit. He just made up stories and then sold those stories to QAnon and evangelicals. And I don't really want to watch a movie that makes everyone think that their suburban child's going to get kidnapped and stolen and sold into sex slavery when that's not happening. I think it creates a giant mass panic that's completely unnecessary and does so from the point of basically brainwashing suburban parents into being fearful of everything so that they support a candidate who feeds on their fears. And that's what I think the goal is of that entire thing. That's why you have a bunch of like super conservative organizations buying out theater tickets for the shows to make it seem like more people are going than really are. And yeah, bummer is that Henry Caviezel, he's a Seattle guy. I wish I could support him, be like, way to go, Seattle guy. But the dude is fucked in the head. Trey Spider was Slaves with Finger. It went up and then went down after hours. Where were we today? Oops, FNGR. Yeah, it was up to 616 this morning. Bounced around a little bit. After hours, dipped down to 539. I would think the thing to watch for Finger is where it closes Friday. If it closes above $7 on Friday, crazy things can happen on Monday from Gamma because there's a boatload of options that will be in the money. And, you know, we touched $7 last week. We went $7 even, and then back down to 5 something. So that would be a thing to look for. If we get some Gamma ramping later in the week as options writers like, oh crap, a bunch of these things are going to be in the money. We have to start getting shares because these are going to execute. So we can see a little price action happen later in the week. And if it's enough to push it over $7, then I think we got full Gamma squeeze happening Monday, Tuesday next week. That's a bunch of shares have to get purchased. And that can lead up, depending on how much that Gamma squeeze is, could put the fear of God into short sellers and their lenders. So see where it goes. Because it's a company that only has options on monthlies. So the next date would be August 18th. So any action that happens after Monday, Tuesday, if there's Gamma, will probably mellow out until the 18th unless it screams before then. That's what I would think would be happening. Korean name I can't pronounce. Midas's hand versus Miner's hand. T-Mart 2006. Can you think of a quicker bankruptcy process than BBBY? No. This is really fast. This is very fast, this restructuring. How long did Hertz restructure for? They came out with like $5 billion at the end. Hertz. Oops. I cannot. Hurt. To bankruptcy. Okay. Hertz's bankruptcy a year after pandemic devastated the car rental business. Okay, Hertz. Give me the dates. I want to know the dates. Just give me the dates. company filed for bankruptcy May 2020. By August, prices are up, blah, blah, blah. And May 2020, and they left October 25th, 2021. So theirs lasted almost a year and a half. Hertz did, but when they merged with like $5 billion on hand. So this one's going even faster than Hertz. So no, I don't know of anyone who's left bankruptcy this quickly before. It's crazy. 88 Red Mustang GT. Happy birthday, Houston. Will Ryan Cohen ever set off Moas by buying his remaining 5 million shares? You got me, man. We've been waiting. Come on, Ryan. Make that big purchase. Come on, Ryan. I don't know. Scott Pollen. Scott Pollen, not that Steve-O. Try the rule of threes. 3 accountants, 3 attorneys, 3 states. Have a bunch of consultations before signing anything. Lawyer 1 doesn't work. Lawyer 2 checks the work. Lawyer 3 watches. That's probably good. Depending on how big that trust is, that's probably a good idea. Da Hobbler, what do you think about XRP and XLM? I don't give a flying fuck about crypto at this point. So, I don't think things like XRP will ever spike, because the entire purpose of it is so that international banks can do business with each other. And you don't want a currency flying all over the place while these banks are trying to pass wealth back and forth. So, people, they're like, oh, it's good, it's future, it's going to go to $1 gajillion. The banks who use it don't want it to go to $1 gajillion. They want it to just be nice, stable currency that they can easily pass back and forth and not worry about like, oh, we got this deposit, we need to move cash over to this bank over here, and we move that cash over, and now all of a sudden that cash moved over is worth 80 billion kajillion trillion dollars. Like they don't want that. So I don't see like the people that are calling for things like XRP to like just go nuts, it's gonna be worth $1 billion. I don't see that happening, because it would defeat the entire purpose of the coin, which is to be a nice, stable value asset that banks can pass back and forth to each other. Whisper, 19-year UPS veteran, 19-year UPS veteran here. Be careful, everyone doing options UPS. I remember 2 of our last contracts went down to the wire last day, and the deadline before the union management agreed to the contract. Also, UPS up 5% since talks broke down. So stupid. Yeah, that's why I if I buy, it wouldn't be until like the 1st. Although it sounds like the current CEO, she's a former accountant and total like pencil pusher who only knows how to cut things. She does not know how to innovate, introduce new revenue streams. She just has to cut. And she's already done a lot of things that make life miserable for UPS drivers. She got rid of local HR reps. So like there's no one to be a liaison between the workers and the company. It's all now all online with like robots and things, and piss people off. There's been a lot of talk about trying to get air conditioners in trucks because it's 1 billion degrees most of the year. These drivers are just cooking inside their giant tin, brown, sun-absorbing metal boxes. I'd be curious to see what kind of offer actually comes in, and if there's any meaningful talks in the next 13 days. So, we'll see. Scott Paul and UPS has a history of making work. Not sure why anyone would bet against that. Oh, greedy owners, greedy C-level executives. They can't think about what it means to have a strike happen to their future bottom line. They just seem to be incapable of that. We see a lot in corporates. We see happening right now in Hollywood is that these pencil pushers in Hollywood seem to think like not having real actors and not having scripts written by humans, they'll totally be fine. It's going to produce garbage. that no one's going to want to watch, and they're going to lose a fortune on it. And then they're going to go, oh, why did I lose all this money? Because you ruined everything, right? So don't ruin things. You have a system that works. It made you hundreds of millions of dollars. Don't ruin that by not being able to sell any shows or have things people watch or reasons to subscribe to your streaming platforms. I mean, all they're doing is they're going to be pushing people back to pirating again because, like the biggest argument against pirating was, hey, if you don't purchase this product, then the people who made it will suffer and not make any money. And they won't be able to provide you with more product. Well, it turns out those people aren't getting the money anyways. Who gives a shit, right? If you're making a show on Netflix and you're paying an actor $1,400 an episode to be on that show for 10 episodes, they get a whopping $14,000, and then the company benefits off that show in perpetuity for 1,000 years from now. You'd be able to stream that show, and not a single royalty check would be going to the actor who provided that wealth, or the writer who wrote this movie, or whatever. They don't get any residuals from it, but the company does. That seems weird. Seems like there needs to be a better residual stream for people. And this big companies will try to keep the status quo as long as they can because that's what they're benefiting from. But if attempting to keep the status quo destroys your market share, well, then what? Right? Like, you destroyed your market share, now you got nothing. FedEx and DHL took all your business, and you're screwed. So, I guess we'll see where it goes. Peachy Sunday, RFK Jr. is Conor Roy in Succession. I'm sure that means something. I've not seen Succession yet, so I don't know. Heard it's good. Sad Boy Incorporated, Houston. I found a specialty broker that was willing to sell me as many calls as I wanted on BBYQ, but said they couldn't after they realized I wasn't a accredited investor. I will call and beg tomorrow. Well, what broker was it, Sad Boy Incorporated? Please tell us what broker it is. I would like to know. So, who is it? Who is it, Sad Boy? I wish I had the credit investor money in my account right now. I would have so many call options. Chris Taylor. Hi, Houston. Happy Monday. Thoughts on centrifugal launch systems? I hear it's cheaper for applications like small satellites. Any physics limits that can't be overcome? When viable? When moon? Thanks. I think they're hilarious. For one, if you guys know what they are, basically you take a big weight, you put it in a centrifuge, and you spin that sucker to a cajillion RPMs, and then you open a valve and you let that sucker fly up into space. So it just takes, you're just pumping so many RPMs into that thing to fling a giant weight into space. It's hilarious. It's great if you want to throw solid hunks of metal into space. You can't beat it. You want to take a big giant blob of steel, throw it into space? Awesome. If you want to take sensitive pieces of electronics and a delicate satellite and throw it into space, that's where you're going to run into issues. I'm not sure how many Gs they achieve in one of the centrifugal launchers, but I would not doubt it's upwards of 1,000 Gs to get things to launch. Because, I mean, to launch something in space, you got to go at least 11 kilometers per second, which is about, 9.8 meters per second times 10, 100 times 100 would get us to like 1,000 times. So it's about 1,000, more than 1,000, about 1,300 times greater than the gravitational constant. So you're probably looking at 12 to 1,300 Gs in that device. So that would mean if you've got a 1 gram I don't know, transistor on a circuit board. That 1 gram transistor now weighs a couple of kilograms. And I don't know if you ever played with transistors. It doesn't take much to like break them off a circuit board. Definitely less than a kilogram of force to break those things off a circuit board. So you're gonna have to make very, very, very robust electronics that it's going to be very expensive to do because you have to use really heavy stuff to do it. They've launched solid slugs of metal into space with these things. I would like to see if they can launch a piece of sensitive electronics into space with them. You're not going to be able to do a human, that's for sure. We'd just turn to goo. We'd be in our seat, centrifuge would spool up, and we would just like atomize into our harness and into our helmet, and that'd just be it. That would be all we would ever have. Maybe if you put us some sort of like weird gel, like concrete gel that would somehow could break out of when we got into orbit. But even then, like there'd still be like your brain would just goo in the back of your skull and stuff. I think they're funny. I don't know if they're ever going to be viable. I will eat my words if they do manage to send a piece of sensitive equipment into space, though. Mario Valdez, what's going on with upstate New York? Are they going to drop into the Atlantic Ocean? I think most of them are going to wash away. It's the water's now flooding in Connecticut and Western Massachusetts. Yeah, they basically got themselves like a 1,000-year flood. And it's going to be very, 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 very expensive to remediate all of that. They're kind of screwed for now. I'm sure people that would be in upstate New York and watching right now cannot. Put up power, electricity, phones, any of that stuff. Dan Harris, how cool would it be for Teddy Holdings to resurrect Sears, Toys R Us? That'd be a great start edition wise for G-America. I don't think it would be a bad plan to initially bank on nostalgia and go for resurrecting these brands, because there is still a purpose for brick and mortar. Like, I want something now. I need it right now. Impulse buy. Like, there's stuff like, I need to go get bed sheets now. I have a new bed. My current sheets don't fit it. You're going to go to a store and get them because you have to sleep tonight on your bed, right? If you order on Amazon, 2 days, you might get your bed sheets. Until then, you have no bed to sleep on because you don't want to sweat all over your fancy new mattress without sheets. A couple of years ago, when Sears was still existing, I was moving out of a house and we had to clean it. And my vacuum cleaner was broken, super broken, would not work. So I was like, I need a vacuum cleaner today so I can finish vacuuming this house. I can move out and get my deposit back. Woohoo! Right? And so I drove to Sears. I looked online. They had a vacuum cleaner. It was like Kenmore vacuum cleaner of some kind. Normally $149, was for sale for $89. I was like, sweet, I'm going to get that vacuum cleaner. So I drove down there, walk in the store, go to their wall of vacuum cleaners, and it's $149. I'm staring at it, perplexed, because online it said $89. Along comes a sales associate, who I know is making commission. Like the people who sold appliances at Sears, they made commission back in the day. And she's, hey, can I help you? I'm like, yes. This vacuum cleaner online says $89. When I come in the store, it's $149. She's like, oh, yeah, that's an online only sale. And I was like, oh, okay. Purchase, pick up in store. Could you take that vacuum cleaner over to the customer service counter so I can walk home with it? She was like, yeah. So, I understand incentivization to do things online. I'm sure there's people that could wait a couple of days for that vacuum cleaner who would gladly save $50 to have it wait a couple of days. But I need that vacuum cleaner now. And I'm going to do what I can to get it now. So like when, I don't know, they just do stupid stuff. And just, it's the stupid little, like, Kafka-esque crap that companies do that destroys them in the end. Okay. Mario Valdez, credit application rejection percent is stupid high right now. I know, and yet they still keep sending me stuff like 10 things a day saying, you're pre-approved, apply here. Like, I don't think they should be allowed to say you're pre-approved if you still have to apply. Cat, coming? Come say hi. Coming up. There you go. Cattail karaoke. All right. Yeah. Ugh, there's your spot. Enjoy it, little kitty. Mar Valdez, market going to be flooded with houses and cars and no one is able to qualify for. Exactly. And there's folks that you know, they got a 2.5% mortgage on their home and they won't be able to afford to leave. They might have a job offer to go somewhere else. But if they're buying something else, they're going to be selling their house less than what they paid for it. B, when they try to buy a new place, they're going to be stuck in a 7.22% loan, right? And just be losing money on the transaction. So they're handcuffed. They call them golden handcuffs. They're handcuffed to that property until the real estate market figures itself out. If you aren't like if you don't have a just obscene amount of equity in your home right now, selling is a terrible idea. Like I have friends that are building a new house and it's going to cost them like $1 million to build a new house. And this, when they initially submitted their design plans in like January, February 2020, their architect was like, oh, it's probably like a $400,000 house. They're like, okay, you know, that's the price you pay. And since all the weird supply chain issues happened since then and took forever to get things approved, it took 3.5 years for them to finally get like a stamp from the county, like, oh yeah, you can build this, because there's such a backlog. And now the construction cost for this home, which they thought was going to be $400,000 3.5 years ago, is now $1 million. The good thing is that they had bought a house in 2010 in Seattle, just a little tiny 600 square foot 2-bedroom on a nice little piece of property. They bought it for $240,000, and the home's $1 million home now. So they have, you know, and they almost paid off their entire mortgage. So they have almost $1 million in equity in this little house they have. Cool. They can sell that sucker and basically pay for the construction on the new home. So what they did is they took out a home equity loan, and I think the end of equity, the home equity loan's like $850,000 or something, and they're just using that to pay for the construction of the new place, and then they'll sell the old home, pay off the home equity, be in the other place, and just be there basically loan free. So like, oh, the cat's just so cute. Like they're in a little lucky situation because they bought 13 years ago when the market was in the absolute toilet, and all their neighbors' homes are giant and worth millions and millions and millions. And whoever buys their home for $1 million, they're just buying the lot for $1 million. They're going to tear that house down and put something else on top of it and have themselves a $2 million piece of property. So that's the future for a lot of these places. But if you bought in December 2022, if you have no plans to stay there for next 10 years, you were handcuffed to that property regardless. And a lot of folks bought because they switched to remote work, right? It's COVID. You can work from anywhere. Like, sweet, I can now afford this home way out here, and I can work from there, and I can not have to worry about commuting. Sweet. And 3 years later, the company's like, you have to return to the office because we gotta return to the office. I'm like, but that's 2 hours away. I can't commute that far. The company's like, well, either show up or get fired. And they're like, fuck. Because now they're going to have to spend a fortune on commuting and lose all this time. Or they got to somehow sell their house in this market, get enough back from it that they can then rent closer to their place of work. The whole reason why they moved from there was it was too expensive in the first place. So I don't know what these folks are going to do. It's going to be a very wild couple of years as they try to force people to go back to work in offices and people refuse and they quit jobs, and you know, it's going to be strange. And I think return to office is also one of the things killing Airbnbs, because a lot of these folks were like, I could just live on the road, man. And they're renting out Airbnbs all over the place and working from there. But now they got to work back in the office again. So they're not using Airbnbs as much as they were. So the demand for these little rental homes are not materializing anymore, and all these people are going to have to sell those rental homes, and they will not be able to cover the mortgages without short-term rentals in there. If they put a long-term rental in there, probably the rent is probably 80% of what the mortgage is. So they're losing money every mortgage payment, and that's not sustainable for them. They'll eat away at their savings. They might have equity building in this house, but their savings are disappearing, and they'll have to sell the house anyway. Okay. AV Diggity, is Ken Griffin Ponziing the politicians? Well, I mean, we saw what Ken Griffin's Chosen One has done out of Florida, and that is bomb spectacularly. Ron DeSantis has fired a huge chunk of his campaign staff. They're trying to reorganize. Julio linked me to a thing earlier showing that 2/3 of Ron DeSantis's donors have already maxed out their donations, so they can't raise more money from the easy money. They got to go out and find the hard stuff. And now people don't want to donate to him because they're like, "Whoa, you suck at this." So my guess is DeSantis might be out before we ever get to the primaries. He's bleeding cash that fast, and he's just so disliked. He's like Ted Cruz level disliked. Leroy Sock the Ball. Will Sue eGov and private equities gang ever go to jail? Looking at USCC, FBI, and USA President Joe Biden, aka, I don't know if these guys will. These guys will go to jail if they lose rich people money. That's what it comes down to. J-Dog, happy birthday, Houston. Go Mariners. Did you see any of the Northern Lights or ISS the other nights? Northern Lights never made it. They never materialized. The great photos happened from people like in Colorado. But I went to the beach, Monkey Butt and I, during the peak solar storm. Nothing. That was Thursday night. Nothing. So, no. Still have never seen the Northern Lights. 654, Justin, Georgia Supreme Court rejects Trump bid to block grand jury report from use in election probe. Ha! Get wrecked, nerd. Saint Sapien, Mr. Wade, you beautiful bastard. Can you think of any way BBBYQ won't explode? Honestly, I would assume that if they have a restructuring plan they're submitting tomorrow, that restructuring plan maintains ownership of the company by shareholders. Now, that would seem to be good news that I think would cause a rise in share price. Why it wouldn't result in a rise in share price, honestly, I don't know. And maybe they're throwing a curveball at us, and tomorrow, rather than submit a restructuring plan, and the horrors of doing expedited, is because they'll file for chapter 7, because they're going to cease to exist. That could be a curveball that we didn't see coming, and but I don't think that's going to be what they're filing. They just seem too happy and giddy to be like, "Oh, we're going to cease to exist now, Your Honor." I don't see them filing for Chapter 7. I see them leaving Chapter 11 with no debt and cash in hand. That's what I think is going to happen. So will that cause it to explode? I can't guarantee that. Will it cause it to be worth more than 34 cents? Yes. Yes, it will. Hi, cat. You little jiggle fat man. Oh. I got him I scratched him so good yesterday, belly and back at the same time. And he was like, "Oh, it's too good. I have to make you stop." And he went to attack my hand. But he's trying to do sit-ups to bite my hand. He just got exhausted and just lay there and took it. Because he's a little fat guy. Look at you jiggle little blob. This little fat cat. He's such a chunker. Lost Waves. Did you leave your cocaine at the White House? All of it. Bat Bones. That's where I left my cocaine. Oh, so I guess it was Bat Bones. Sorry. Kevin Renan. Happy birthday, Houston. I was somehow able to get a BBY call for January 24th, $3 strike weeks ago. Think they could pull some shit where it comes off the Q status. Kevin, What broker did you use? For God's sakes, people. If you tell me you buy a call option from your broker, I want to know what broker it was. Tell me. For the love of all is holy, let me know what broker it was. I need to know. Because I will buy thousands of them. Thousands upon thousands of them. Don't see it popping up yet, Kevin. Put it in the chat now. T-Mart 2006. So this is how I've been thinking of BBBYQ sales. They are just babysitting the IPs until the parents get back home and give them their teddy. I don't know if this is correct way to interpret it, but it seems like they are just operating the online side of things until the rest of the plan unfolds. All companies benefit from this. I mean, all we can do is speculate until we get the info in our hands, right? And that docket should be filed sometime tomorrow. So maybe 24 hours from now or so, we will have our answers. Coffee, donuts, and Homer. If I had my money in Tether, I would get the heck out. AV Diggity, would Overstock shares become BBBY? I'm not sure. I mean, if they're rebranding the whole company from Overstock to Bed Bath & Beyond, I would assume they would take that ticker name, right? It's weird. Why, Tyler? Thanks, Houston. Do you think RC is behind 6th Street? Is it possible for a group of individuals such as ICANN, RC, Pulte, and more to be behind the 6th Street bid? Still a court hearing tomorrow. Yes, I think it's a highly likely possibility that they are the ones behind 6th Street. It's a dip facility that they've created, and they're the ones behind it. Batbone says, Kevin, the options chain may get put to purgatory, and a new options chain will be active. It may be hard to sell those options. That's true if the company ceases to exist. And then they restart again, like when General Motors got seized by the U.S. government. The shares in General Motors ceased to exist. Bloop, they're gone. And when the government reorganized General Motors and then sold them off again, new shares of General Motors were issued. And those are the ones that own the company. So I don't think because this, well, we'll know more tomorrow, but I don't think that's how this is necessarily going to work out. I think the shares are going to remain the shares at this point. They may get renamed, but they'll remain the shares. J-Dog, Houston, did you see on the news the guy who fell into the upholstery machine? He was fully recovered. God damn it. Okay. Julius Miami Asian Horses shirt? Asian Horses shirt. It's a very large shirt. This is made for a mountain of a man that I don't think exists a person as large as need to be to wear this shirt. Like, I know Tom McCulloch. Tom McCulloch's over 7 feet tall. This shirt, I think, will be large on him. But it's got cool design on it. I like it. Bizio guy, a Seattle guy. I wish I could support him. That's exactly how I feel about Kenny G. The other Kenny G. Bainbridge Bruiser is angry that I talk shit about the Sound of Freedom movie. And he says, by that same logic, if you watch a film about tornadoes, it'll spread panic about twisters. That's literally what the movie Twister did. So, congratulations. You figured out how the human psyche works. God damn, you post the dumbest stuff. Oh, okay. I'm not your friend, Aloha from Wahoo. If no contract by midnight on the 31st, nobody works Tuesday. Then the world collapses. Noted. J-Dog, only the pretty ones. My kids are safe. That's how I think my mom felt about us. She's like, just go around the neighborhood. You guys are too ugly. No one's going to take you. And no one did. Whisper. I read that post about her Carol time. Yeah, she absolutely sucks. Puts on Carol, calls on FedEx. Yeah, Carol is a penny pincher not a creative person. She's an accountant. She's an accountant who now is CEO. An accountant looks at a bunch of stuff and says, we can save money here and save money there and save money here. They're not trained to go, we can generate new revenue streams by doing this, this, and this. So I don't think she has the creativity needed to handle 350,000 people that are potentially going on strike. If she does not offer them exactly what they want, they're going to go on strike, because why not? Right? What do you have to lose? You're not going to lose your jobs because they need you guys. They need your training. They need you. They need you folks. They cannot run their company without you. So they're going to have to pay you what they owe you. They're going to have to pay those part-time workers what they owe the part-time workers, which is, I think, the coolest thing about the strike is that it's not necessarily for the main drivers. The full-time drivers are making $90,000 a year, like $42 an hour or more. It's the part-timers who don't get benefits, who get paid $16 an hour, do the exact same job, and they're kept at part-time status so that they don't have to pay them the $42 an hour. It's like adjunct faculty and tenured faculty at a college. They're purposely keeping those folks in a lower, untenured position specifically to pay them shit and to get away with it. And this strike is basically everyone saying, stop treating them like shit. They're doing the same job as the rest of us. Pay them what they're worth. And I dig that. I dig that a lot. Same thing with the SAG strike. Like, you've got millionaire actors going on strike, not because they need more millions, but because their friends and community who are part of their films are getting $80 a day to be background actors, right? And they have no choice, no chance of becoming a working actor who can make enough money. And you have to earn $26,000 a year as an actor before you even qualify for the healthcare through the Screen Actors Guild. So there's a lot of folks who are purposely kept below that $26,000 a year so they can't qualify for things like that. And, you know, the pay grade really hasn't changed that much since 1950s for a lot of those background part, you know, small part roles. You hear these stories about, you know, shows like Orange is the New Black, which won a boatload of Emmys for Netflix and was their flagship show for years, and that the entire cast was like working 2 and 3 jobs at a time to be able to stay alive because they weren't making enough on the show that earned Netflix millions of dollars and lots of good press and subscriptions and all sorts of things. So, you know, I heard from a comedian, what's her name? I can't remember her name right now. She was talking about how she got approached by a studio, by a network to make a TV show. She's like, cool, I would love to make a TV show. They named the show after her. She was not the highest paid actor on the show, and she was not the highest paid writer on the show. Even the show had her name, and she was the star of it and the head writer. And then she, luckily, a few weeks before she created the show with them, her agent was like, you should probably trademark your name, because I have a feeling if they create a show, they're going to use your name and they're going to own it. And she was like, all right. So she spent a couple $1,000 with the lawyer trademarking her name. So the network came along with the idea. They're like, shit, we have to pay her because she owns the name. So it's they'll do whatever they can to like take everything they can from you at every stage. No matter, it doesn't matter where you are in the labor spectrum. There's somebody above you who's completely useless at their job, and the only thing they have is a pile of money. And they will exploit the shit out of you to make sure that pile of money grows that much more. And, you know, just take them all on. Take every one of those douchebags on. Everyone should strike for everything right now. Stonk Cobain, I once invested in a sub-penny stock called AWGI, now canceled. The company had the technology of extracting water from humidity in the air and convert it into clean water. I thought it was an awesome idea. Do you think something like that would be the answer for water shortage in California? Well, there are companies that do that. There's little devices. There's these water bottles you can put on your bicycle, empty. And as you bicycle along, it sucks humidity from the air and fills up the water bottle with that humidity. So there are things that do that. I don't know if they do it on a large scale. They have the what are they called? The artificial rain webbings. So if you go out into the Atacama and Chris Collins, if you're in the chat at all, you got a chance to head out to Atacama and see one of these. I'd love to see one. They have these wire structures that collect the breeze. And there's a lot of fog that can happen in Atacama and not direct rainfall. And there's these certain plants that are epiphytes. If you know what epiphytes are, they're plants that grow on other plants. So if you see a big tree like ferns growing on the tree limbs, that's an epiphyte. It's getting its nutrients from the tree in this sort of symbiotic relationship. Well, in the Atacama, there's these tumbleweeds, these little tumbleweeds that evolved from like Amazonian epiphytes that lived in these forest canopies, and they blow across the desert. And the webbing of their leaves collect the moisture that blows on the winds, and they feed themselves that way without a root structure. So there's these tumbleweeds that blow all over the desert where they get an inch of rain every 100 years type place. But they live. And so using that technology, some scientists and engineers built these like web structures to collect water in the desert from just absorbing the condensation from the moisture in the air. Even though it's not raining, they can collect quite a bit of water from it. So the technology has existed. I wonder if AWGI was trying to do that in like a large commercial way rather than a small scale. I'm curious as well, Stonk. Sabo Incorporated, the equity exotics market is a pain in the ass. I'm going to have to fly out to New York City just to assuage potentiality. It's OTC, so you have to find a seller to make the market through a specialty broker. Hence, there are no public broker. It's very similar to dark pools and swaps, and the pool of trades is much smaller. Everybody knows everyone. What broker are you using? How do you do it? Tell me, sad boy. You have to physically call the strangers on the phone and pitch to them. Make sure they trade the asset class and are even willing to do the trade. Huh. Okay. Interesting. T-Mart 2006. Have you read the agenda docket for tomorrow's BBBY hearing? No. I have not read the agenda docket. Kroll, restructuring, BBBYQ. Bed Bath & Beyond. Okay. July 18th hearing. Notice of hearing. Let's see here. What do they have to say? Oh yeah, we haven't ventured into the what the world? Where? I don't see you. Where is Chrome? Oh. Why are you not? What the heck? Okay, let's try Chrome. Open you up. Click on there. No. What in the world? That is so weird. Like my Chrome is not showing as. Oh, maybe that? No, that doesn't seem to work. Ah, you're there. Okay. Took like 3 reopenings. Chrome Associates. Maybe download the thingy. Okay, jointly administered. Matters going forward. Order approving auction and bidding procedures. Order establishing procedures to sell certain leases. Lease. Contract parties. Potential sale external leases. List amendment dates, deadlines, related debtors. Auction qualified bids. Leases. This is all leases. Tomorrow is the hearing. Deadline player assumption objections. Okay, so there's objections from people about certain. It's all about their docket hearing tomorrow is all about leases. It appears. So they got to go through all of the potential leases that will be taken over by Burlington and others, and then if there's objections to those, so like you guys can't see this because for some reason I can't get this stupid thing to show up. But objection of Cintas Corporation to the notice of contract parties to potentially assume executory contracts and expired leases, reservation rates. So basically, there's a contract for Cintas to supply things like paper towels and toilet paper and soap to bathrooms in these Bed Bath & Beyond buildings. Burlington is now taking over those buildings. Thus, they have to take over the contract that Cintas has to supply the bathroom products to that building. So they're going to go through all these things and discuss that stuff. I don't give a crap about those things. They'll figure that stuff out in bankruptcy, whatever. What I care about is the filing that has to happen tomorrow about the exit strategy for leaving bankruptcy. And that is the one that I'll be looking for. Okay. Where were we? Sad Boy Corporate, I'm trying to throw $20K into BBBY calls for 20th of June 2025. Put that into options profit calculator and see what it's worth if it hits $3. A lot. A lot. J-Dog, how many seasons of Seinfeld GPT can we expect? I mean, they did it. It went running for what, like 5 months straight, just never-ending Seinfeld episode of ChatGPT. So, I mean, people watch it as curiosity, but at the same time, it was like, what am I watching? What is this? Whisker Biscuit, do you think UPS could be a sell the news type event and drop significantly between now and August 1st? Maybe. It's very possible. It could go the opposite direction, and we could hear like, oh, there's offers being made, and the stock rises even more. It's 190 or something. That's why I'm just going to play the weeklies in a couple weeks out, if it comes down to that. Michael Harrow, Houston, what about charging money to billionaires to test out the centrifuge, see if we can launch them into space in a carbon fiber tube? Hey, you know what? I'm all for that. Yeah, I am for it. We know the carbon fiber tube can withstand, a few thousand atmospheres. So if that's the case, it can withstand those G-forces at least long enough to launch them into space, and they can use their little joystick to find their way back. Ted Bingham, CBS Face the Nation, was extremely grim on climate issues, strikes, and economy. More interesting, they pushed existential threats very highly from China, Russia, North Korea. Recession seems pushed. And climate sucks. China, I mean, China's doing a lot of saber rattling, but I honestly don't think they've got the finances to back much of that stuff up right now. And Russia is just boned in general. They're like a toothless chihuahua that's having a fit at the moment. They really just do not have the muscle to be as loud as they are right now. J-Dog, waste disposal, chuck it into space, first burying it? Yeah. Why not? A bunch of nuclear waste, launch into space where it's all nuclear anyway. I'm okay with that. Pete, does anyone know why B-Big has been moving the past week? No. Maybe because we discussed it on the show, and that's how much power we have. To Bingham, what is the psychology of people putting things off, such as buying a new lawnmower, have greatly improved their life hardships? Why do we as humans let our suffering continue? I know who that's directed towards. I didn't buy a new lawnmower, though. It was literally given to me by my neighbor. But we got the old one fixed. Now it's going to go to some high school kid who, I don't know, wants to make money mowing lawns or something. No. For the most part, because we always seem to like be able to adapt. Even if it's painful, we'll do things the hard way for as long as possible, because A, they might not have the financial means at the moment to do it another way, or B, We don't know life could be better. That's also a very true case of what people deal with. Yeah, it's, like, there's a certain brother I have who, when the economy was in the dumpster, bought this busted ass cabin. Absolute piece of shit, rotting apart, falling apart. And in his brief retirement, he was like, I'm gonna rebuild this cabin. Cool. So he's rebuilding the cabin. Restoring logs, getting things done, clean the inside, tearing out the kitchen, like rebuilding the whole thing. He's having a great time. He gets called back to work. And he's gotta go have a career again. So the cabin has been sitting for like a decade. Nothing getting done. And he keeps his mind, I want to do it. Whenever he has time off, he's so tired and it doesn't get built. And he comes back to Bainbridge and he looks at the cabin and he goes, you mow the lawn, but like building the kitchen and building the bathroom and doing that stuff is just daunting. And you think like, hey, you got some cash? Pay someone to do that for you. So it doesn't get done. And it becomes this like stressor of having this unfinished cabin, but not enough time to do anything about it. And it just sits there when, a little bit, just pay someone to finish it for you and it's done. So we all suffer from that. Okay, sorry. Where did I just lost my spot in the thing? Okay. BW brand, I'll remove them all if you want to load them up. Remove them all, BW brand, by all means. Bat Bones, Houston. Speaking of being a background actor, I've been in 3 movies filmed in my hometown. I made a bar tab, a box of crayons, and 3 Cheetos. Totally worth it. I have a cousin who is, I think, probably the greatest extra ever in a film ever. There was a movie called Scotland, PA that came out, 20 years ago. And it was Macbeth set between 2 fast food restaurants in a place called Scotland, Pennsylvania. And it had Mira Tierney in it. I can't remember who else in it. But it was a fantastic and hilarious version of Macbeth. And my cousin, who at the time was like GQ model, he was super handsome. He was dating a girl from Lancaster, Pennsylvania or something where they were filming. And they casted him to be a person who starts a food fight, which is like the war that happens in the movie. And so there's my cousin Tom just like nailing people with hamburgers and French fries covered in ketchup. And it was a great role to like, I didn't know my cousin was in it. And I'm like, that's my cousin Tom. So, that's his claim. I was in the background of indie film. I was so excited. And when it got to the scene where I'm shown, it was taking place, it was a little movie called A Relative Thing. And there's a character in it who's like an author and she's at a book signing. And someone comes in and gives her bad news, just like leave the book signing in a hurry. And I'm in line at the book signing going, what the hell? And I was so proud of that. And then when the scene gets shown, it's her being rushed out of there. And then there's a blurry Houston in the background. You just can't tell, but there's a blurry Houston doing this. That's my movie experience. I got paid nothing for that one too. I did that for free. Although they did feed me at the premiere, so I got to eat some food there. Killer Rush, sadly, that bicycle water bottle named Fontus was basically a scam. It could not deliver on the promise. Well, there you go. So it was just a scam. Probably one of those things that was like on Kickstarter, made $5 million and then never worked. Aaron T, hey bud, been a while, but it's good to see you. Never stop being awesome. Love the show. Keep on keeping on. Thank you, Aaron T, or Aaron. Deniz2635. What's going to happen tomorrow? Beyond knowing that some sort of exit plan is going to be submitted for Bed Bath & Beyond, not a clue. That's as far as my crystal ball will take me at the moment. Kelly Reed read an article. Economists are cutting back their recession expectations. A little buckle up, everyone. They got nothing else to stop the inevitable crash, just gaslighting the problem. Yeah. I mean, it's a bubble. We know we're in a bubble. Everyone knows we're in a bubble. The bubble knows it's in a bubble. The bubble is self-aware at this point going, I'm a bubble. And we have a few people who are like, everything's fine. There's no problems. Calm down. Soft landing. This is the crap we heard in 2007. This is the crap we heard in 2001. It's the crap we heard in 1990. Like, it's never a soft landing. A whole bunch of liquidity vanishes. Everything goes, and then a bunch of folks are out of work, and the news can't stop talking about whatever economic crisis we're in for months until it starts to build back up and get out of it via, bankruptcies, getting rid of austerity measures, and just pumping the economy full of cash. That's what's going to happen. And so we're just going to go through that like every single time it happens. Kelly Reed, isn't it funny that everyone is saying everything is fine when the Fed president Neil Kashkari wants to new high inflation stress test wants to do a new high inflation stress test on banks. Things were good. I don't think we would need a stress test. Yep. Yeah. You don't do stress tests when you think things are like flying high. IMA, Houston. Always respected you, my bro. You look very well. Keep speaking real. Thank you. Video brand. Some states have car inspections to check the safety status regardless of whether drivers think about the safety of the car. Same thing at play with stress test banks. I mean, that's also true. But if you're upping the stress tests, you're like, keep how would I phrase this? Like, there's one thing about doing an annual stress test or a stress test once every 5 years or something, kind of a regular basis, make sure everyone's on board. But if you are upping the regularity of those stress tests, I think that might be because you're monitoring the situation more in real time. You're like doing a Riemann theory about it. If you guys ever done like integral calculus? You got a curve of time. You're trying to take an infinite number of snapshots over that curve to get the full value of like everything under the curve. I did a terrible job explaining this, but if you're Riemann theorying that thing, I think it's probably because you think something sketchy is going to happen, and you just want to make sure that every single moment that bank is aware that something sketchy is going to happen. The BBBYQ brand, there's plenty of instances of a ship sinking and the captain telling everyone it was not. That's also true. Keller Russ just made playing Kickstarter's simple Peltier device. Had the time to look up Thunderfoot yet. He made loads of vids about these type of scams. I have not had a chance to look up Thunderfoot yet. Dope. You know what it's a good time for? Good time for to crinkly crinkle and watch the dog jump up. There she is. She heard it. That's right, monkey. We got 12 minutes left here. Oh, well, there's 2 halves, so we'll do 2.5 chunks. How's that? Oh, that's beefy. That's such a beefy smell. That is beefy. So we got a little one. Yeah, come get it. Come get it. I'll eat it for you. Oh, there it is. Yeah, is that good? How about another one up here? Yeah, you can go up there for it. Oh, it's like an inch out of your reach. Tippy toes, monkey. Tippy toes. Come on. Go. Oh, there it is. Oh, I had to become a long dog for that one. All right, Jaws cam. All right, there we go. All right. Case Chapman, we may see crazy numbers for BBYQ like we have for MMTLP. I'm sure people are listing them if their brokers allow them to. I'm sure they're probably starting to get listed in there like, $1,000 a share. Why not? Some brokers won't let folks do that. But why not? List those crazy prices, right, Monkey? You wanna list those crazy prices? I know you do. You're the type of dog who wants to list crazy prices. Look at your face. It's so sweet. You have such a sweet little face. You know that. Yes. I made it to the end of the chat, and I got 16 minutes left. So maybe we just sit back with our horse shirts and pet our fat cats and our happy dogs. I don't know. What do you guys think got going on? Because I'm at the end of the chat. I got nothing. Do you have anything? No? How about a little fat belly? Oh, that fat belly. Oh, yes, that's it. Yes. Oh, you're trying to purr, but asthma is more coming out like a snore. Okay, kitty. I got nothing. I'm tapped out, Monkey. It's warm. I can't think without being prompted by the chat. So, Video Brand Houston about that little volcano in Iceland. Oh yeah, I forgot to check in that volcano in Iceland. Volcano cam. Y'all cam live. Let's see what's happening. Sorry, I'm waiting for an ad to finish here because I'm not gonna play an ad on the show. Oh shoot, it's playing.
If you
Dang
have
it.
a utility meter
Stop
like
that.
this on the side
You
of
stupid
your
ads
house,
playing
you get
over my
paid
show.
to go solar.
Go away. All right. Boom. There we go. So we've consolidated. The curtain of fire is gone. Now we're to a little to a cone here. So we have ourselves a main vent that's blasting with a little river of lava. Just like I said it's going to happen, because that's science, baby. So no longer the curtain of fire. Remember that big long fissure that was causing volcanic stuff to come up? It usually starts sealing off, and then it forms into a single vent or cone that's splattering out. So it looks like a good burbling lava lake there. I have no idea what the scale is, but this is probably a telephoto at quite a large distance. That thing's probably pretty decent. Those splish splashes are probably several hundred feet in the air. They're popping up there. And then it's flowing out this side, making that lava river come down. Oops. So yeah, it's flowing out this little corner here, making the lava river come down. And the lava river's got its own little spits and farts happening. You can kind of see those things bubbling up. But good time. Good time to be had by all there. Fantastic. Okay, got that out of the way. Big Houston. Julio, Elon got a love letter from Senator Warren. Yeah, what Senator Warren sent something basically warning Elon about them investigating the fact that he might use Twitter to pump stocks and things he owns, which we know he's done. So he owns the company now, and he can do it to his heart's content. But also Elon was revealed that he uses ketamine, not just medically, but also recreationally. And that would be enough for the government to cancel his security clearance, which would kill SpaceX. So I'm wondering when the government's going to hold Elon to a standard. It's like there's a woman who was up for a national security position this week. And when you're up for a national security position, you get investigated by the FBI because they want to, it happens with my sister. They want to know who you know, where your finances come from, all this stuff. And if you have like an obscene, weird, outstanding debt, like let's say you have $1 million in gambling debt, you are not going to get security clearance. They're not going to give it to you. Why? Because you owe $1 million to somebody and they can easily be like, I'll clear your debt if you do this one thing for my friend Vlad. And they'll remove your security clearance. This woman, all she had was a regular mortgage that wasn't outside the bounds of any expectation, and members of Congress used it as an excuse to not approve her for this security position. Everyone has a mortgage. That's how you buy a home. It's not outlandish. Meanwhile, Kavanaugh had like $200,000 in loans taken care of, and we don't know by who. So he got approved when he obviously took money from someone really sketchy and refused to name who it was to pay off his debts. I think a person just having a mortgage and a regular job is not something that's too outside the norm. Since 54, Twitter cash flow is negative. Merry Christmas, everyone. Yep. Advertising is down 89%. They made a push for Twitter Blue, which has netted them $11 million. And now they got $1.3 billion in maintenance on their debt they got to pay every year. And they're being sued for $500 million for not providing severance to their employees they're required to. And they're also facing gigantic fines for violations of privacy, child protection, breaking labor laws in Europe, you name it. Elon and the company was devalued down to $6 billion by Fidelity. So it spent $44 billion. The company's now worth $6 billion total. That's a huge loss. That's $38 billion loss so far. But hey, he paid like 5 influencers money from ads and didn't pay the others. Now the others are really mad. So there's that. Phil Yup Tang, Houston, got any San Diego food wreck? The only place that I know still exists in San Diego that I would go to was that Cocina place. Fish tacos in Ocean Beach. Delicious. Beyond that, I don't know what's still there anymore. I have not a clue. The other place I would go a lot was Soup Plantation. I don't think Soup Plantation exists anymore. I think they died in COVID. So, I love me some Soup Plantation. I love all you can eats in general. I eat a lot. Nico Daru, did you see the video of your doppelganger sent over via Insta? I was shook. I'll have to look. I have not seen it. I don't think so. Anyway. Why, Tyler? If BBYQ starts to run, what's the price target for selling? I think it depends on how it runs and how fast it runs, personally. How much volume is going through. I have not a clue as to exactly what the number of short shares are owed, naked or otherwise. We had some inklings that it was like, 800% the float, which would be a lot. So I would expect a lot of volume to happen if forced buying happens. Again, like dollars a share, I'm happy with. If it does scream more than that, I'll be even more happy. So honestly, I don't know. I want to know the outcome first as to what's happening with it all before I commit to what I think the value will become. Let's see that filing tomorrow. That'll give us a better idea as to how they're going to exit bankruptcy. Michael Harrow. I heard that there are lawnmower owners that modify their rigs and race them on tracks. Will you try that with a new lawnmower? No. My new lawnmower we use just to mow the lawn. I don't have the time and energy to do anything badass with it. T-Mark 2006, do you have a plan in place post-MOAS, financial I mean? Does it depend on how much you make? Any sort of investments that'll provide consistent income and stream? I'll probably dump a bunch more into my long plays, such as GMG and No Labs. I wouldn't mind dumping a whole bunch into those. I will also, once it's enough and I can just coast, I will be putting it all into dividend stocks, index funds, etc. And just let them just send me annuities every quarter and just live off that. And drive around and go camping and smash rocks for fun and do my hobbies and pay someone to take out the rest of the blackberries in the yard and, work on shit boxes in the driveway. Because I'd rather hot rod a car than a lawnmower, personally. Monkey Butt. Would you like to have caviar dinners? Yes. Nothing but the finest of salmon skins all the time? I think so. Yes. Yes. Bad Bones. I gotta know, why did RC move MOAS? I've been ready for 83 years, man. Yes, all we are doing is getting older at this point. BB Brand, if shorts are forced to close, do you think they'll retaliate against the new company? Will they have the power to retaliate against the new company? That's the question. Like, can you? If we take all your money, how are you going to retaliate? The company has no debt, has cash on hand. What are you going to do? Like, they've been able to do squat against GameStop. They've tried. Nothing happened. GameStop still holds steady, $20-ish, day in, day out. So, yeah, you take away their cash, you take away their power, then they can't retaliate at all. C64 K20 swapped Honda lawnmower. I was going to do a Hayabusa lawnmower. Oh, T-Mart, what about in terms of like legal and accounting advice? Yeah, get yourself a CPA, pay your taxes. That's the biggest thing. Like, whatever cash you make, set aside 40% for taxes. You can make your donations, talk to the CPA, figure out where to send money. You know, you can set up trusts, you can set up companies, because you can do giant tax. Like, you can set up a holdings company, right? Say you make $10 million, and you're going to get paid taxes for $4 million from that $10 million you made. Well, there might be ways you can set up a holdings company. You take all that $10 million, you put it into a holdings company, and it becomes a giant write-off for $10 million. You don't pay taxes on anything. The holdings company does stuff. It may have to pay taxes next year and so on what it makes. But then you do weird things like the holdings company owns your house and you rent the house back from the company. Or the holding company buys the car for you and you rent the car back from the stuff like that. I'm sure there's clever CPAs and lawyers who can help you work through all those things and figure out exactly how to cheat the system like all rich people do. So, yeah, I would find that dude. Bad Bones, huge support at $20 after the one profitable quarter. If RC would say AI, we would go to $50. If GameStop's like, we're working on an AI system. Like, it's the stratosphere. All right. Okay. Is that it? Is that it, Kitty Cat? You don't have everything to add. You have everything to add, little guy. You just little man. You need to go outside and go murder some things, buddy. Just, you're not doing enough murdering recently. That's how you pay your rent. You slaughter. Yeah, that might be it for today. I won't be doing a show tomorrow, so I guess Wednesday we'll go through whatever the filing is that gets filed for BBYQ exit, and if anything else interesting happens throughout the week, we'll talk about it tomorrow. Yeah. All right. Tyler, give me your opinion on commercial real estate. It's pretty easy. Commercial real estate is toast. That's what's happening. All right. Okay, everybody. Peace out. Oh, wait, that didn't happen. Do you think? Peace out. I was looking for something clever to do, and I got nothing clever.